before, 53 years ago, and that. I think, I mean, it is a reasonable thing to contemplate, like what's gone on since then. And what I'd tell you is, when we did Apollo, which again, the more we learn about what they did, the more magical it seems what they were able to accomplish given the technology and the learnings that they had. But when we did Apollo, the architects of Apollo, Gilbert, Seaman, von Braun, Mueller, what they really wanted to do, as they were contemplating what it meant to expand our range of action to the lunar surface, what they wanted to do was learn how to live and work in space for a long time. They wanted to do that first before they were confident they could expand their range of action to the moon. Now, of course, the politics of the time and the mission at the time was different, and so they had to go straight to the moon and bring people home. And then after that, the program kind of lost its momentum. But after that, NASA kept moving along those paths, right? So we recognized during Apollo that reusability was going to be important. We spent a lot of money on those machines, and we spent a lot of money on these machines here. Even though, but we recognized that reusability was important, which is why we built a winged space plane called the Space Shuttle, and then we used that reusable machine to build a space station. And we learned for 25 years how to live and work in space, and have been able to develop technologies that can enable exploration. So really, what I think is now, 53 years later, we're at the point where the architects of Apollo would have been pleased that we're now ready to actually go back to the moon and go back to stay, because we've learned all the things we needed to learn.
There's a lot of people pleased here tonight, and we really thank you for joining us. I'm Amit Kshatriya, NASA's Associate Administrator, as we begin to hoist the crew onto the helicopters to head back to the recovery ship. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob.
Congratulations on it. This is Mission Control Houston, with the crew members now beginning to be hoisted aboard the Navy helicopters. Let's go to Megan Cruz aboard the USS John P. Murtha, who will take it from here.
Hey Rob, yeah, back on the bow of the ship here, we are seeing the helicopters circling Orion. The first one there, having just completed picking up the first astronaut. Kilo 2 now, hovering just 40 feet above the front porch, lowering a recovery specialist out of the helicopter. That person will touch down in the front porch just there. The crew members already outfitted with a harness that will allow them to quickly attach to the hoisting device. Look at the power of those blades throwing water out at the center there, the front porch, with now 3 astronauts and the recovery specialists. Again, crews already outfitted with a harness vest. And here we go. Second astronaut now off the front porch, getting hoisted into the second helicopter. That helicopter will now hover just a distance away to give room for the first helicopter to come back and pick up the third astronaut. As we wait for that helicopter to come back, make its way back around, just want to mention that the President of the United States called our NASA administrator today while he was on the ship, just minutes after we interviewed him live on our coverage, and congratulated him and NASA on this history-making moment tonight. Helicopter 1 again hovering 40 feet over the front porch. We will soon see another recovery specialist getting lowered onto the front porch. imagine sitting on that front porch, the wind, the water. But again, the recovery team determined that a helicopter flight back to the ship here would be safer, faster, and more comfortable for our crew who just completed a 10-day mission around the moon. Third astronaut in the air, getting hoisted quickly back into the first helicopter now. That second helicopter now making its way back over to the front porch. Here it comes. Making its final approach here. The last astronaut, Commander Reid Wiseman, now off the front porch and almost into the second helicopter. Both now on their way back to the ship where we are, the USS John P. Murtha, just west of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean. First helicopter coming in. And wheels down. Wheels down of the first helicopter, carrying 2 of our Artemis II crew. Pilot Victor Glover and mission specialist Christina Koch. Kilo 1 on deck reported on the recovery loop. Again, the mission audio loops that the recovery team are using here to communicate with one another. And an announcement just made on the ship, integrity incoming. 2 more helicopters on their way to the flight deck, one carrying the crew, the other, one of our imagery helicopters. Again, kudos to our imagery and aerial teams for giving us these beautiful views of history in the making. Second helicopter. Making its approach of the flight deck. Plenty of people here on the bow with their cell phones out, filming this moment. Some impressive flying here by the Navy, as we are seconds away from wheels down. And there you go. We now have all 4 Artemis II crew members on the USS John P. Murtha. I'm sure they're happy to be out of the water and on this recovery ship with, again, 550 people on board, ready to welcome them home. All right, and now here we see pilot Victor Glover and mission specialist Christina Koch sitting on the edge of one of the helicopters, looking in great spirits. And here we go. We're seeing Jeremy walking, waving across the flight deck, now on his way to the medical bay. All right, and now here we are, Christina, making her way, looking thankful, grateful, happy to be home. You can see she's looking up again. Lots of people, just a few levels up off the flight deck, welcoming her home. Scott holding the door like a gentleman, but back on his way to the other crew still on the flight deck. Still on the flight deck, Victor Glover and Reid Wiseman. It looks like Victor will be the next one headed to medical bay. More hugs, more hugs. He's a hugger. Victor looking good as he walks across the flight deck. NASA administrator applauding. Victor applauding for all the folks on the ship with him who played a role in their safe return today. Finally, just one Artemis II crew member left on the flight deck, Commander Reid Wiseman. Applause from the group there on the flight deck, I'm sure, as well as on the level just above them, packed with people. Reid looking good as he takes his steps towards the medical bay.